Welcome back to another discussion video on the current format in Arkham Horror. I'm Rather Incoherent, and today we're talking about what I think was the best class and still remains the best class, Seeker. As always, we'll be going from weakest to strongest within the class, which means we're starting with the weakest, and I think that's Vincent Lee. Now, on the one hand, Vincent is a Seeker, and there's a Runic Axe in the deck, so he's obviously not that bad. But I think he's easily the worst Seeker. In an ironic twist of fate, previously, Vincent was one of the worst Seekers, because if you ran all the cool combos that he wanted, all the stuff unique to him, you had so few card slots that you ended up having to cut the movement tech that made every other Seeker so strong. All of that movement tech doesn't exist anymore. Shortcut, Pathfinder, it's all gone. Safeguard's the only good movement tech left in the game, and Vincent Lee's the only Seeker getting it. But he's still at the bottom. That's largely because you're playing a flex character wholly reliant on Runic Axe to flex, which isn't even good at flexing until you get experience under your belt. You're playing Vincent Lee, the healing character, and your only healing card is Ravenous Myconid. And you would think that with how I normally build my decks, I'm about to tell you that our deck has more draw than God, and we'll find them immediately. We're a Seeker, why are you worried? And yes, Vincent Lee does get access to, I can't believe it's not in the deck, 1 second. So yes, Vincent Lee does get access to Anna Crossroads, hands down the best draw card in the format. He's still a Seeker, he's picking up Cosmic Revelation and Thorough Inquiry. You're going to be seeing those two cards a lot in this video. But Deep Knowledge is gone. Practice Makes Perfect to duplicate Perception is gone. So much of the draw that really pushed Seeker over the moon isn't there anymore. So we're not guaranteeing we draw these quickly at all. Don't get me wrong, Ravenous Myconid is the best form of healing left in the game. Runic Axe is still a great flex tool, even if it's not as good at flexing as it is at killing things. Sparrow Mask is still great in Mythos Resilience, even if your foot's still doomed from the start. And Milan plus Gabriel means we can just dig in the bag at base 6 without magnifying glasses for a flex. We'll be fine with that. We have Lucky for more Mythos Resistance, Deduction, and Long Shot for compression. The character has a lot good going on in it. I'm not saying that Vincent Lee is even bad in current. He's not even functional or middling or meh or any other negative term. He's straight up good. But compared to the rest of Seekers, Seekers lost a lot. Like, this isn't not Deduction 2 because of experience limits. We could put a lot more in this deck. This isn't Deduction 2 because there is no Deduction 2. There's no movement tech other than Safeguard because there is no movement tech other than Safeguard. It's not about experience or anything. The reason I haven't spent the last 9 experience is this is kind of the important stuff already, and getting Garish plus Charisma is a lot of experience. I'm not even sure what the cut is for it. It's probably the next thing I want to do, though, and then we have to wonder, do we have enough money for all that? So I don't really know necessarily how to build out from here, but this is a really, really strong base. Like, even though this is in current, I've got Contemplative in the side deck, right? It's really hard, even with all the cards we've lost, to cut down to 30 cards on Vincent because there's so much stuff you want. It's through no fault of his own. Compared to where he felt like in Legacy, I feel like he's doing much better relative to the rest of the investigators in current, but everyone else is doing a lot more, so let's get into it. Starting with Lucius. Lucius is actually like totally sane compared to what he used to do. Any sort of infinite combo, it's dead. Get it out of here. We banned all of that. Eldritch Sophist is gone. Shut up. The red clock is too, arguably the more important part of the combo. Well, the more powerful piece, if not the enabler for the combo, right? So all this super broken stuff we'd ever conceived of with Seeker Rogue doesn't really work in the current card pool. And this guy's ability, oh man, this guy's ability. If you think we're successfully evading in any way 2 or more, admittedly, unlike rogues, he's better at using foot than all the real rogues. He has base 5 and an actual foot pump. But there's not really a reason to care about it, because Lucius is showing off what most of the Seekers in this list, maybe all of them, will be showing off. Antikythera got hosed in my preview. I said, essentially, this card's good. But settling for good in Seeker is insane. Seeker's like 50th card is better than Antikythera. Seeker has so many broken options that I would never consider running Antikythera, despite the fact that it's obviously and self-evidently good. Well, we just banned all of them. So Antikythera is back, and it is incredible. Because it turns out if we ban everything that's making it look bad by comparison, and we're just left with only genuinely good cards and nothing that's broken, Antikythera says either get an extra clue or draw a card and gain a resource every single round in which you take a test and pass, basically. Then with Steady Handed, you're able to sometimes heal yourself for horror by manipulating this value, and more importantly, manipulate this value. And also with Fine Tuning, you can use it twice a turn. Hell, put the second Fine Tuning on Chemistry set if you want. I don't particularly care. So yeah, we have magnifying glasses and friends that boost book. Lucky Cigarette Case for draw. This deck is notably missing some cards, not the mic in it. The card it's missing that I want to have in every single Seeker is Field Research, Peer-Reviewed, Empirical Hypothesis. This is just a very, very good card in general. So I'm going to put this in the deck. I'm going to drop Cigarette Case, and I'm going to drop the Relic Hunter down to a 1-of. And the reason I want to do that is because after a certain point, it might be more valuable for my team to hand off the draw. I don't think I need the Cigarette Case and this, and we're getting a big pile of assets at that point. So I think it'll be better like this. The only rogue card I'm running is Bank Job, because if you've been watching this video, say it with me. When it comes to economy, it's kind of the only show in town. There's not a lot going on for rogue economy right now. This is pretty much all that's left. But we're still fine on economy. We have Midnight Oil and eCash. We have Cosmic Revelation and Thorough Inquiry for improved draw. We have a manual decks for Mythos Resistance, Perception for draw and consistency, Deduction for clue compression. But basically, the bread and butter of this deck and all the Seeker decks we're about to see is that Antikythera being manipulated can give you +2 clues a turn, at least +1 clue, 1 card draw, and 1 resource per turn pretty reliably. It is the strongest form of Seeker clue compression we currently have, and it's going to be a mainstay of these decks. So while I think Vincent's very good, you compare him to somebody that's never failing a foot test, can pass any scenario-based foot test, who's getting a ton of clues with the Antikythera combo, I think he ends up being worse. Very, very different, not a lot worse, but still worse. This one killed me when I realized how close the decks were for these two characters. Moving on from Lucius, let's talk about Kate. Did anything change? We had the mic in it, and now we dropped Gabriel. But yeah, they're basically the same deck, swap out a Bank Shop right to Crossroads. And unlike Lucius, who really has no synergy with that archetype, Kate actually wants to be running a bunch of science and tool cards, so she's able to pretty much fully utilize her ability here. Unfortunately, Clue Dropper Kate seems kind of dead to me because, I mean, without Quick Study, you can't effectively drop your clues. But Kate is still getting a little bit of bonus experience out of the great work. At a Crossroads is one of the best draw cards left in the game, and the ability to use the Flux Stabilizer for +2 on important test makes this whole archetype meaningfully more synergistic with her. Also, she has well-funded and actually is pretty much guaranteed to turn into Promise of Power in a version of the game where Promise of Power doesn't exist. So well-funded, actually looking pretty sick. And I think it's pretty obvious why I think Kate's better than Lucius, right? If I think they're both best off running broadly similar decks, but one of them's running Bank Shop instead of at a Crossroads, one of them's got direct synergy with the deck, and the other one's just giving up on their ability, I'll cover it more than I did. This ability sucks. It was never great, but successfully evading by 2 or more in a version of the game where they banned almost every way to make your foot better. Like, it wasn't good in Legacy. It's god-awful here. So while Lucius runs a knockoff of this deck, Kate is running the real thing. Moving on to our third place Seeker, it is Agatha. I'm strongly considering whether to put this character in my S tier. I think Agatha is absolutely insane. Agatha has some of the best draw in the game. There's only one character that I think is really beating her. You know who it is. We're about to talk about him. But Agatha's ability to recur spells and insights means she gets to recur Cosmic Revelation, Burning the Midnight Oil, Cryptic Research, Seeking Answers, String of Curses, Thorough Inquiry, and Working a Hunch. I will admit, Thorough Inquiry is a little bit unclear. Maybe you're not allowed to recur that one. They could honestly rule it either way. Currently, it's open-ended, and I would just say decide for yourself at your own table whether or not you're allowed to play Thorough Inquiry if you ended your turn with an action left over. I personally think you should be able to do it, but I don't have, like, it doesn't affect the power of the character in a meaningful way. It'd be a nice to have, but not important. You have plenty of other things to be recurring. And as you recur these, you're getting a ton of free tempo by playing them without spending the action, getting closer to cycling a very small deck without a Crossroads, and then giving the out of Crossroads to your teammates. And also, with this much draw, you're much more free to give out your Empirical Hypothesis as support. I do want to briefly cover the String of Curses recursion because that one's not obvious. String of Curses can be played as your last action, and then you recur the String of Curses with your ability, and you put Doom on something and then kill it that didn't normally have Doom. So you can essentially delete any non-elite enemy as Agatha. It's really cool. But as for the rest of the deck, like, what are we doing after we use all these events, generate the resources, draw the cards? Well, fine-tuning, steady-handed, Antikythera, you know the drill. I do appear to have gotten the Relic Hunter this time around. Sorry, Seeking Answers, looks like you're going to the side deck. I need the experience back. But yeah, after all the compression, it really just is the Antikythera combo again. But you get so much extra draw, so much of which you can share with your teammates in a version of the game where there is so much less draw. That team support is just really, really high value. Burning the Midnight Oil is clue compression. Working a Hunch is clue compression. And then getting through your deck quicker means Antikythera combo is online for more of the game, which is in itself another form of clue compression. You have Eyes of the Dreamer and Obscura as your ways of canceling tokens. That's pretty much it, but that should be more than enough with how much draw Agatha has. She's one of the few characters that can still say that. And yeah, it's definitely still reminiscent of what those other two characters were doing, but it's very, very different because it's the Agatha thing. If I had more experience, this deck would start to divorce itself even more from those other two characters because I would want to get things like Seeking Answers to recur them. It's just not something that would go into the deck quickly. I think it's less important to get 4 clues out of Seeking Answers than getting 1+ clues every turn out of Antikythera. Anyways, moving on to my second place, it's Daisy Walker. She's rock solid. They just printed Library Pass. Obviously, Necronomicon's banned, thank God that it is, but it would be a lot weaker anyway. Any Library Pass combo is because Scroll of Secrets is out. Seekers lost a ton. They lost their movement tech. They lost Crack the Case. That's why you haven't been seeing it. They lost so many different broken cards it would take about as long as this entire video just to list all of them. But Library Pass is insane in Daisy. You just use it to play Grim Memoir, dump it and drop it. Same with Old Book of Lore. And that's all it's being used for here. But when you're dumping Grim Memoir that fast, when you're dumping Old Book of Lore that fast, you will eventually cycle your deck. Use the Cryptic Research again, the Cosmic Revelation again. We're doing very similar things to Agatha here. The difference is we have a bonus action every turn to use Grim Memoir, which is going to get us ahead on clues more compared to Agatha. It's going to cost less experience to get this combo online compared to Agatha. It's a very similarly powerful thing. I just realized they have the great work, so I didn't need to get Seeking Answers. And I realized that because Daisy also had it. But yeah, this is just traditional tempo Daisy stuff that's very, very, very strong. There's not a lot to say about it. I'm not running Antikythera here, and maybe I should be. Maybe I'm wrong to not do it. I'm running Myconid instead, but obviously you could just cut Myconid, put Antikythera in, find 2 other cuts, and run the support cards, right? And as I talk about Daisy more and more, I'm like, is Daisy really better than Agatha? Because I'm super familiar with how Daisy is strong, but I feel like Agatha puts up similar numbers. It's just that you have to draw one of your cancels to really start doing crazy things. I was super torn on this. I ended up switching Daisy and Agatha on the tier list. They were 2 of those characters that were side by side. I think Daisy's better at level 0, but quickly gets outclassed. And I think she gets outclassed enough that she ends up being worse. I'm not certain. They're both absolutely incredible characters, but I think the best Clover and even the best character in current, it's my boy, it's Harvey Walters. I love this man. You can't make him bad no matter what you do to the format. So you'll notice he's doing the same Antikythera shit, but the difference is Harvey Walters has built-in draw to do it better. Or at least faster. It's the same general thing, fine-tuning, steady-handed, Antikythera, get that shit online, magnifying glasses, Milan, Gabriel, crazy book, dick in the bag, do your job. Where he gets a lot of value these other characters don't is his peer-reviewed empirical hypothesis can be paired with his signature ability, and also he has Vault of Knowledge, allowing him to funnel more draw into his teammates than most characters can even put in their deck, which is a frankly obscene amount of team support. We have that on top of things like Cryptic Research and Cosmic Revelation that all of these Seekers are running because they're some of the best draw in the game. We're using Bizarre Diagnosis to make sure we're safe to our weakness, but this is not a big hand deck. We can easily cut these for something else. We're just running them as safety, really. But most of the time, this character will not be holding a lot in their hand. They're just going to be drawing cards and dumping them immediately. And this is just Tempo Harvey. And it's a lot worse than Legacy Tempo Harvey. But it also has really uniquely powerful team support by giving away all its draw that no other character can really replicate. And in terms of clue finding speed, do I think it's the best? No, I think that goes to Daryl. I think comparing this to Daisy, it's probably a little bit behind Daisy, at least in the early game. Comparing this to like pure tempo Agatha, maybe Agatha comes close. But I think just the team support of Harvey Walters giving away 3 draws a turn in a format without deep knowledge where draw feels so tight across the board. Like at this point, you've seen so many decks. If you've been watching the whole series, you've seen me talk about all the characters. I think the ability to give away 3 draws per turn recursively at almost no cost is completely insane. And the fact that Harvey gets to do that, just on its own, S tier. Before we even get into how good he is as a Clover, and the answer is like almost as good as any other Seeker built for tempo in the first place. He does have weaknesses. He doesn't have Bulletproof Vest anymore. If you're running a second copy of Gabriel, it's really expensive to replay this guy. You can use him as soak. So you kind of have to use Bizarre Diagnosis to deal with your weakness if you're playing any sort of big hand build. He's not going to be passing Foot Test effectively at all because Survey the Area is out and there's really no replacement for that. But I think every character in Legacy has weaknesses. And I think that Harvey's team support is one of the greatest and most unique strengths of any character in the game currently. Now, from your perspective, it's probably just going to go live tomorrow, but from my perspective, I'm going to wait for several days and let all of this simmer in my head. And then I'm going to record a tier list for current based on all my Theorycraft and my best understanding of these characters. So for now, I'm done. But tomorrow, I'll see you with a Theorycrafted current investigator tier list. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you then.